So welcome back to Room 1-on-1 with the Homeboys, and we're back at home in Celtic Park for a Saturday 3 p.m. kick-off next Saturday. And with the Super Jays visiting Glasgow, I am delighted to welcome back Housewife's favourite St Johnstone fan, Greg Browning. Well, Greg, how do I find you, pal?
Hi, Scott. Nice to be back, mate. And we haven't been called the Super Jays for some time now. Probably 2 years since we last called the Super Jays.
We haven't spoken in 2 years. That's more than 2 years, mate.
No, it's not as long as that. Nah, it's not as long as that, is it?
I don't think we spoke once last season.
Did we not?
No.
Probably best that way.
Right. Okay, we'll get cracking on. As always, with the first chat between us of the season, and as I've been doing in previous couple of weeks, we'll look back at last season. And as always, anything you want to add, anything you want to jump in, just batter in, you know the script here, mate. So Callum Davison retained his position after coming through the relegation playoffs the previous season. It was another big summer of ins and outs. Season kicked off with the League Cup groups, drawn in a group with Annan, Queen of the South, Elgin, Ayr United. 2 draws and a penalty defeat and 2 wins weren't enough to come out of the group, as Saints finished in 3rd place behind Annan and Queens. 8 points, but goal difference meant you were edged out. So league started end of July. My words here are a very mixed bag. From opening day to the World Cup break, 6 wins, 7 draws, 7 defeats. 6 wins, 3 draws, 7 defeats. Meaning that St Johnstone sat in 6th place, 21 points off, with a goal difference of -2. 2 points better than Livy and 2 points off Livy in 5th, and joint points with St Mirren in 7th. So after I mean, it's looking all right there, isn't it?
It's incredible, to be fair. By the end of November, we were in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Well in the mix for top 6. Expectations at that point were we would try and fight for a top 6 place.
Yeah.
Had some really good results, some late goals as well to keep us right up there. But after that, though, it was all downhill, right through until probably the bottom 6 split.
Till Steve McLean turned up.
McLean came in, gave us a bit of a lift. We won a couple of games that we had to win, and we ended up staying up quite comfortably.
So I'm going to break down a couple of things that happened after we come back for the World Cup before we move on here. But see, just your opinion, right? As somebody who kind of does, going by your Twitter feed anyway, you did take an interest in the rest of the league and Scottish football in general. So you're not kind of blinkered by your own team on that. Do you think the Scottish League's been kind of weak?
It's been awful. Honestly, it's been really poor. The last couple of seasons, I would say, especially in the Championship and in the Premiership. The bottom, I think last season was the first time that the big 5 clubs all finished in the top 5.
Yeah.
So it's the first time I can ever remember in 20, 30 years. You had Hearts, Aberdeen and Hibs occupying 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. That's the first time that's happened in a long time. But what you're finding now is the gap between the smaller town clubs like St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Ross County, all that sort of stuff. The gap between them now and Hearts, Hibs and Aberdeen is getting bigger. And I don't think there's really that much between the sides in the bottom 6. And I think this season as well, there's probably only one place up for grabs in that top 6 place. I think the top 5 again will be last season's.
Really interesting, right? Because I spoke to Craig Anderson, the Kelly fan, last week, and my brother-in-law listened to it, and he actually sent me a wee message saying, why don't you challenge these guys? Why they're not talking about breaking into the 4? And I'm sitting and going, but Craig kind of covered it well. I mean, if the top 5, like you're talking about, just get it right, they don't even need to be having brilliant seasons. They just get it right. It's really hard, eh?
Really hard. And obviously look at Hibs. Hibs have spent £2 million this season on players. We've spent nothing. We've not got money to spend that on players. I think a big signing for us is maybe £50,000.
Yeah.
But Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts have all got money to spend. They've all got full houses. They're all in Europe. That's not helping the rest of the league in the fact that they're now making decent money from the European campaign. So it's going to be really difficult now for the smaller clubs in the league to compete and break into the top 5 now.
I think you're really relying on you know yourself, see every now and then you get this one player, he either hits a bit of form or you get a guy in loan who's just kind of, I mean, like, you remember Ross County had Reagan Charles Cook, who'd done
exactly.
Nothing of that period, and then boom, he this wonder season. Van Veen last season.
We never get that, Scott. We never get that. Ever, honestly, we don't. Motherwell get it all the time. Ross County have had it. Every club in the league have had a player that's come in, done really, really well, scored lots of goals. We haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah. Right, okay, so after the break, pretty much as you say, a false dawn, a good 2-1 win over Ross County preceded a 6-match losing streak, and then things never really got much better after that. A win usually followed by a disappointment. So on the 16th of April, following a 2-0 away defeat to Livingston, saw Callum Davison lose his job, with Steve McLean taking up the interim job immediately. So McLean's results were pretty good, relatively speaking. A 1-1 draw with Hibs was followed by a 1-0 win over Dundee United. A 2-0 reverse at home to Motherwell was a worry, but wins over Kelly and Livy and a draw with County meant that St Johnstone totally avoided relegation places. So come the end of the season, St Johnstone finished in 9th place, 38 games played, 12 wins, 7 draws, 19 defeats. 41 goals scored, 59 conceded, goal difference -18 and 43 in the board. 3 points off of Livingston, 3 ahead of Kilmarnock 10, and crucially 9 points ahead of Ross County in 11. Scottish Cup tie went home. Home tie with Rangers, Holders Rangers, a 1-0 defeat on the 21st of January meant a poor cup season all round. Now, you've already kind of touched on the season. What would the reasons be for the season? Would it just be that I mean, like Aberdeen, again, what surprised me is Aberdeen had 2 centre forwards who scored 18 goals last season, and you think Aberdeen sacked the manager at one point, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, the lack of goals is a big thing for you boys, eh?
It's always been a big challenge for us having a goal scorer. We've tended to done well over the last 15 seasons by being pretty tight at the back and maybe nicking games 1-0, 2-0. We're not going out and getting hammered 4-3.
Decent midfielders in that period.
We have, but with a really core side. I mean, Chrissy Miller in that as well. We had some really experienced players, a lot of leaders in that squad of the kind of cup winning team of 2014, and even obviously the double cup winning side as well, with some real experience in there. But now, really lacking that, and we're obviously lacking a goal scorer. We're lacking any width, we're lacking any pace. It's just going to be a long slog for us this season, and it's obviously already proving to be the case.
Throw in the Callum Davidson thing. What was your opinion there? I mean, obviously that guy, as a player, he was a great player. He brought in a decent amount of money when he left the club. He come back, he came back to help you out, and then he's ended up manager, winning the 2 cups. It's kind of crap, but
I think outside looking in, a lot of fans of other clubs are going, "What the heck are you doing? Why are you sacking the manager who's won you a cup double?" It's something that probably won't ever be achieved again by any side outside of Celtic and Rangers. But I think digging a bit deeper, and for the guys that go to the games and watch St Johnstone play, the football was dire. It wasn't great, and it wasn't like it was an immediate reaction. You had 2 full seasons to fix things.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of money as well for us in terms of buying players. Recruitment was pretty poor as well. So there was a combination of things, but ultimately time ran out, and I think he lost the support. Once you lose the support, there's no going back. So I think he had to go. I think there's no one out there questioning whether or not he had to go. He definitely had to go.
No, like you say, on the outside, if you're, as we spoke earlier on, if you're blinkered about things, all you see is Callum Davidson, he won these ungrateful bees. And then, like I say, I'm sitting looking at the and I'm kind of going, oh, it's grim, isn't it? It's like the League Cup alone, you're kind of going, geez, peace, you know what I mean? This is garbage. But, right, so, anyway, new season, new hopes.
They dashed on match day 1 at Stenhousemuir. The cup.
Right, before we get to that, so on the 27th of May, Steve McLean was given a permanent position as St Johnstone manager after his success in leading the side away from relegation. Were you on board for that, or were you more thinking, or Is there
No,
something
I
else
think it
you
was
could
a
do?
good fit. I think he knew the club. He had some really good results in the post bottom six
Mhm.
split. Essentially kept us up. It was an absolute no-brainer for him to
Right.
come in and take over.
And was there no other? I mean, see what you're saying there. It kind of makes sense. But how many teams have we? How many times have we seen an intern manager get that bounce and then just crash and burn within however months of the next season? I mean, is the financial state of the club, is that a kind of why you're going there rather than a bigger name, say?
Probably a combination of a few things. Money definitely comes into it, but I think we've always been a club who've given younger
Mhm.
managers a
Yeah,
chance, and
yeah,
that's been the case throughout. I think with the exception of Tommy Wright,
yeah.
that was Tommy Wright's first proper gig as well. So
Mhm.
we've always given younger managers a chance, and it's worked really well for us over the last
Mhm.
20 odd years.
That's 100% fair. Aye, that's fair. Right. Decent amount of players left this summer.
A decent amount, 17.
Decent amount. Right, so Bobby Daly left. I don't know where he went or who he is. Right, but anyway, more interestingly, Murray Davidson, after 14 seasons with the club, 404 games, 42 goals, retired for the game at the age of 35. 24-year-old defensive midfielder Charlie Gilmore left for Inverness. 27-year-old centre-back Melker Hallberg departed from Kalmar in his native Sweden. Jamie Murphy, the 33-year-old winger, left for Ayr United. Theo Blair, 23-year-old Canadian international forward, was signed on with Motherwell. 32-year-old Michael O'Halloran again left the club, this time for Dunfermline in the Championship. David Wotherspoon ended his time at the club. Finnish forward Eetu Virtanen also departed, as did Welsh goalkeeper Elliot Parish. Wotherspoon, Theo, Blair, Murphy, Halburn would all really, maybe if I'm wrong here, all been considered first team regulars, if not.
Nah, not really.
Uh,
No, I think the 17 players that we lost, I don't think any of them were actually a
right,
mainstay in the
okay.
first team. Obviously, David Witherspoon is a St Johnstone legend
Mm-hmm.
and was injured, had a really bad injury, came back last season, but just wasn't at the levels he had been
Right.
in the previous 10 seasons. But other than that, the rest of the players that left us were really. But obviously, Murray Davison played a lot of football for us as well.
Yeah, yeah, of
But
course.
he barely played last season, Murray Davison. He
Mm-hmm.
was injured too. So we had an over bloated squad last season. We had a squad of 25, 26 players, which is ridiculous for a club our
Yeah.
size. And we had to reduce the squad size dramatically. So it wasn't a surprise to see so many leave, but it did leave us short numbers going into the new season.
Yeah, so youth players, Kate Hepburn, Jackson, Mild Treats, and Bailey
Milky's, yeah.
Klimniak, all departed for loans at Cowdenbeath, Tranent, and Berwick Rangers, respectively. So incomings, as we speak, there's no that much coming. 23-year-old Welsh forward Luke Jepcott was picked up from Plymouth. But oh, by the way, everybody departed for free, so no dough coming in. Bulgarian goalkeeper Dimitar Mitov was signed from Cambridge United. Sam McClellan, a 21-year-old Northern Irish international centre-back, joined from Chelsea under-21s. Oladair Awama, another 22-year-old centre-back, was grabbed from Liverpool under-21s. And Matt Smith joined from MK Don, and he's a Welsh 23-year-old defensive midfielder. So a lot of young guys coming in there, eh?
Yeah, there's not a lot of players with experience.
Dara Costello, an Irish winger, was picked up in the season loan from Burnley, and Dave Richard, a 29-year-old keeper, was loaned from Crewe Alexandra. Sorry there, mate.
No, that's fine. That's fine. As you see, there's a common trend with those signings. They're all young players,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them haven't got many games under their belt. We're needing players coming in who've played 50, 100 matches. We're getting boys who haven't played at all, really. Obviously, any signing's a hit or miss, but for me, the goalkeeper's been outstanding so far, and he's had to be. He's been very, very busy, our goalkeeper, this season so far, Mitov, and he's been called up to the Bulgaria squad as well. Which
Is that right? Is he?
Yeah, he has. So, other than the goalkeeper, obviously, the rest of the players that have come in are all fairly young, fairly inexperienced, and that doesn't bode well for me this season. I really do fear for us this year.
it's not nice to speak to you, lads, mate.
It's only August.
Every time I speak to you, you're always kind of, oh, here we go, now. Are you expecting any more ins? And so you've already spoke about the outs. I mean, the outs all seem fair that they went. I mean, Theo Blair, was he no a decent player? No, not even.
So Theo Blair went to Motherwell. Now he was signed for maybe £80,000 from the MLS.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely hopeless. A lovely big guy. Honestly, he's a lovely big guy, but he's not a footballer. He's got great physique. He's 6'3", but honestly, watch him play. I don't think anyone was surprised that he left. The biggest surprise was he managed to get a gig still in the Premiership.
Well, there's why the name kind of poked my interest, because I was going, 23-year-old guy, played for Canada. He's put an outlay for him, and then he's away to Motherwell. And I was thinking that must have been a blow, but
it absolutely wasn't. Honestly, I don't like slating players, Scott. I really don't. As I said, he's a lovely guy, but he's just not good enough. He needs 2 or 3 seasons, I think, in the Championship or somewhere else. I was really surprised that Motherwell took a gamble on him. And to be fair to him, he did score in his debut against Dundee, but yeah, he wasn't a great loss.
Right, okay. Like I say, are you expecting anything more? It's interesting. I remember speaking to Kenny up in Ross County about when Malky Mackay first came in, and we touched on maybe one of the reasons Malky got the gig was his contacts, because his loans in have been pretty decent. And you guys...
Well, I think for Ross County, let's not forget, he's been bankrolled by Roy McGregor.
But it's still, the loans coming in, he's played the loans well, I think. And I always think it's something that Scottish teams need to do. I mean, God sakes,
absolutely.
Celtic need to do it, obviously, for a different level, but we need to kind of know the environment we're in. I mean, what about you guys? What's the 2 boys you brought in? I mean, I presume Dave Richard from loan from Crewe is a backup.
Yes.
What about the Costello fella?
Well, good pedigree, might be quick and fast, but again, who knows how these guys are going to adapt to playing in the fast pace of the Scottish Premiership. We're definitely bringing in another couple of players. There's 10 days to go before the transfer window closes, so we absolutely will bring in at least another 2 or 3 players. A 20 goal a season striker is number 1. We need a winger as well, somebody a bit of width, a bit of pace. So that's 2 priorities for us at the moment, I think.
I was listening, son. If I'm right when I listened, were you boys in for Matty Kennedy again? And
I don't know. What you'll find is when we go in for a player, the likelihood is we're priced out because we won't pay overinflated wages. But to be fair, Matty Kennedy going back to Kilmarnock was always going to happen for 2 reasons. Number 1, he played for Kilmarnock before, and number 2, he worked with Derek McInnes at Aberdeen. So it was never up for debate.
Right, it was never really
Kilmarnock. No.
Right. Right, so let's have a gander at the squad. Right, so you said the squad was kind of bloated. It still looks bloated to me, but I do offset that you have got a whole bunch of young guys in that. And I'm all looking on Wikipedia, which I know isn't the bastion of fucking football knowledge. You know what I mean? Right, so let's go through the squad. We'll take out the new signings unless you think they deserve chat about, because from the highlights that I've watched, the goalkeeper definitely did stand out, and I was going to talk about it when we talk about the games. Yeah. But Stevie May's still the main striker of the team. 10 goals in all competitions last year. As you say, a proper goal scorer would be desirable. Andrew Considine still plugging away. Dre Wright, Graham Carey, Ryan McGowan. So that you've still got a fair bunch of old guys there. Yeah. It seems to be kind of a disparity, doesn't it? Young guys, old guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I said earlier on. We're missing players in that kind of 25, 26, 27 age bracket.
Guys who have done Scottish football for a couple of years, aye.
Yeah. Well, you even played down south and racked up a couple 100 games somewhere, 100 games somewhere, but we're not really getting that. We're getting guys that haven't played any football at all or have played 20 games on loan somewhere.
So talk to me about the squad, the new. Any young guys breaking through that you're thinking, right, he's got a chance. He could do something here.
No, do you know what, Scott? Obviously, during the League Cup campaign, we were forced to play a lot of the young guys because we had horrendous injuries. We still have 8 or 9 players out injured at the moment.
Right.
But I don't believe any of the young players coming through are going to be good enough.
Really?
No, I must admit, I don't have any high hope at all for many of them. I think they've come in at a really difficult time, but I think any of those players are going to play this season. We've got a fully fit team and a full squad. I don't think so.
And so really, you're relying on these two young, the boy for Liverpool, the boy for Chelsea. You're looking on one of them kind of growing as the season goes, and potentially getting yourself a couple of quid next year, following you.
Yeah, we're really relying on the guys coming in that we've signed this season to hit the ground running. That's really the aim this season, but I don't believe the quality is there in the young guys that we've got at the moment.
Right. So are you doubting the squad as is, really?
Oh yeah, I think we're obviously lacking the goal threat. I think Stevie Mays does his best, but I don't think he's going to score 15 goals for us. He's pushing on there as well. Chris Kane's been injured for what? 13, 14 months. He's now back training again, but got injured in the last season. And Nicky Clark has been a long-term injury as well. So we really are lacking any firepower. Pretty toothless. We're pretty organised at the back, you could say, maybe, but I think going forward, we're really lacking any cutting edge.
Mason Greenwood's looking for a team now.
Sorry?
Mason Greenwood's looking for a team.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mason Greenwood, Lee Griffiths. Get near me, come on.
So we're lacking a bit of creativity as well, I think. I just think it's going to be a long slog. And I think for us this season, we've been lucky that the last 2 seasons, Dundee were awful.
Somebody tragic lost.
Yeah, Dundee United have been poor. So we've been quite lucky in that respect. But this season, I think the bottom 6 sides are going to be strong. Look at Kilmarnock, as you'll be well aware. Had a great start to the season so far. St Mirren look pretty useful. I think they'll have a good season. Ross County have started very well. Motherwell will be fine. I think Dundee will be okay. So I'm now running out of teams to say who can we catch and finish above.
Yeah,
and there's not many. Livingston's the one for me that I'm hoping are due a bad season and have a bad season, because at the moment I've got us and Livingston finishing the bottom 2.
Really? Jeez. As you see, I mean, even when Ross County played us, and we've no set the heather alight at all in any of our games this season, but Ross County that day, you were kind of going, I think they'll be fine. I think they had a hard season last season, but they're looking all right.
They recruited very well, I think, in the summertime. Ross County, they brought in Brophy, they've got Jordan White as well.
That's right.
And they spent a bit of money. They recruited really, really well.
Well, I laugh at he's trying to follow the David Martindale mode, isn't he? Oh, we've got no money, we're punching above our weight.
Honestly, he's killing himself on it. Really infuriates me, Malcolm Mackay, because he's been bankrolled by Roy McGregor. There's no doubt about that at all. Dingwall's a small place, a small town as such, not got a big population, but let's be honest, they're buying players for £150,000, which is big money for a team like Ross County. And for David Martindale at Livingston, he is talking the truth. They are snookered, I think, financially. They've not got much money, and he is up against it. So I can totally get why David Martindale's giving it sob stories, but definitely not Malcolm Mackay.
I mean, it was only a few seasons ago where you kind of sell to your famous cup guys. You sell
Scott, don't. It still hurts. It still hurts.
I mean, you were a massive advocate that you undersold. Was it Ali McCann?
Yeah, so 2 years ago to the day almost, we were 1-0 up in Turkey away to Galatasaray. 2 years ago to the day almost. And look at us now. We're getting beat at home 4-0 for Stirling Albion. We're getting knocked out of the cup on teams in Division 2, League 1, League 2. And to your point there about Ali McCann, yeah, he was undersold. £1.2 million sold at the end of the transfer window, when really we should have been getting 2-3 million for him at least. And we never recovered from that, never replaced him.
And I dare say, like you say, I don't take any joy bringing it up. I don't like seeing you unhappy. I don't like seeing. But he's probably unfortunate that he had this great season, that the whole club had that great. Obviously, you're unfortunate because you've never seen it. So, I mean, you look at what Aberdeen have been selling guys for recently.
Yeah, exactly.
McCrory is a good Scotty football player. Not a great Scotty football by any stretch, but he's on the telly. He's scouts can come up and see him. Whereas that great season you had, you're not getting that same door.
No, I don't think Aberdeen's obviously a good example, but when you think about sides like Motherwell, they're getting £2-3 million for players. Even when Turnbull went to Celtic, how much was that? £3 million or something like that.
In a bit, aye.
So yeah, that still hurts, Scott.
Yeah,
still
right.
hurts.
So, sorry, pal. Sorry, buddy. Right, okay. While you're hurting, we might as well talk about the League Cup.
I just did a minute ago. Just get past that part.
Right, so you were drawn this season with Ayr United again, Stirling Albion, Stennismuir and Alloa Athletic. Not great was the assertion I put on that. An opening 1-0 defeat by Stennismuir away was followed by a good 4-0 away win over Alloa, but a 2-1 defeat to Ayr and then a 4-0 humping by Stirling Albion, both at home, put paid to any League Cup adventures. 4 games played, 1 win, 3 defeats, 3 points in third place, 8 points behind group winners Ayr, 7 behind Albion and joint with Stennismuir and Alloa. A disaster, really. League has started pretty bad also. Opening 2-0 home defeat by Hearts was followed by an away 2-0 defeat by Ross County, leaving St Johnstone sitting flat bottom, no points, no goals. Now, watching the highlights, right, this is, and obviously I'm going to watch the Hearts game. You could consider it was chances missed in a Hearts game. I mean, you gave up loads of possession, all the piece, showed decent attacks at set pieces without creating much from open play. And then, as we've already said, the keeper Mitov made some massive saves in that second half. Ross County game, even game in terms of position, but County always looked much more likely to score. Mitov with another couple of belting saves. That Ross County game, fuck me. The highlights showed an he kicked by fucking Stevie May that went fucking from me to you away, do you know what I mean? And I was like, if that's a highlight, we're fucking struggling here now.
Yeah, I don't think we played that badly in either game, but deservedly beaten both matches. Not really any sort of goal threat. And if you're a betting man, Hearts were a great bet to beat us, which I am, and Ross County were a great bet as well. So it doesn't bode well going into this weekend's game against Celtic off the back of a really poor League Cup run, a squad still getting itself sorted out, and obviously Celtic will be a wounded animal after yesterday.
I'd hope so. League Cup's shit anyway, mate. Nobody likes a League Cup. Right, okay. We're on the home straight here, so let's have a wee chat about this weekend and see if you've got any kind of hopes about it. We played 3 times last season. We grabbed victory from the claws of a draw after a late equaliser by yourselves, but an even later winner by McDermott Park in August last year. Then on Christmas Eve, Celtic ran out 4-1 winners at Celtic Park, and then back in Perth, we won 4-1 again in February. Dre Wright scoring for Saints in both those matches. So, setting up, McLean had changed up slightly, starting the season 4-3-3, then he dropped into a 4-4-2, and now he's relying on a 4-2-3-1. So, with Saturday in mind, and should you pull that 20-30 goal striker that you're talking about, should he sign this week? What do you think we're looking at this weekend? I mean,
for us, it's absolutely damage limitation.
Usually when I speak to guys, they'll kind of, especially this season, they'll look at our game, should I say, and say, right, we reckon we can do damage here, we reckon there's a chance here. However, I would dare say that you're more concerned about your own team, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, this game's going to Celtic Park is always difficult, regardless of what shape you're in at the time. But Celtic aren't the side they were last season, we know that. Early in the season, still under a new regime. Obviously, you've lost some really crucial players as well. So I don't think losing yesterday helps our cause. I don't think Celtic tend to have too many matches in a row where they've lost. I can't think of any. in the last 4 or 5, 10, 15, 20 seasons. We've lost 2 games in a row. So I think for us, it's very much set up, keep it tight for as long as we can. Just the usual nonsense you get when you go to Celtic Park. Try and keep it tight and see how things go. But I must admit, it's probably the weakest squad we'll be sending to Celtic Park. When you look at the bench that we had up at Ross County, you won't recognise a single name on the bench that we had at Ross County. And I believe there was only one appearance out of the 7 subs that actually played a game in the Premiership.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, that's the level we're at the moment. Hopefully we'll have a few players back from injury by the weekend. I'm not sure who that will be yet, though, to be fair. But yeah, squad's definitely thin in quality, and it's really going to be keeping it tight.
The frustrating thing for your side is, because I would always imagine that a team come to Celtic Park for 3rd game of the season, you'd like to have points on the board. Do you know what I mean? You'd like to have at least a win under your belt, so that you can try your best and fling it down and don't concern yourself with it. The irony being, Carter Vickers is out. There's strong rumours floating about that our new centre half, Narovsky, is out for 12 weeks or whatever. Stephen Welsh is obviously out for 2 months. So
Scott, I'll stop you there, mate. That won't concern Celtic at all, because we won't be getting that far up the pitch to trouble your defence. That's the problem.
Right, okay, mate. Right, so we'll bypass. We'll hope for the best in that. Let's talk about season wide, right? I can sense where you're going with it, right? But let's try and get some hope for the season, right? So we're home. Livingston are stinking, all right? But,
yes.
But are you not seeing any situation where maybe the young guys kind of hit a break, or you kind of a star appears? Nah.
Honestly, Scott, I've been completely honest with myself. I just feel at the moment, looking through the league, I just think there's too many sides in the league who are in a much better place than we are, on and off the pitch. I think Kilmarnock have got a good squad, having a really good start to the season, as I said before. St Mirren look in good shape. Motherwell will be fine. Ross County will be fine. So there's only 1 or 2 sides potentially we could finish above, and that's potentially Dundee and Livingston. That's what we're in. That's the dogfight that we'll be in this season.
So 10th place, we're looking at 10th place. That's a hope for
if we finish 10th, it'd be a miracle. An absolute miracle. And
again, the patronising wanky fucking comment for a Celtic fan to you. Would a relegation no be a kind of, now you get down, get rid of guys?
I'm not a believer in that. I think we've been in the dogfight for 15 seasons now. We're Scotland's second most successful club in the last 10 years.
Mate, yeah.
So I don't believe in that. I just think we are now suffering from really poor recruitment that's been plaguing the club for seasons now. And there's been a lot of things behind the scenes as well that just weren't right, and we're now really starting to see that come to the table.
With regards what, mate?
Just in terms of how the club's run in the background, recruitment wise as well, we've never really had any sort of proper recruitment structure in place, which in this day and age in 2023 is madness.
I was going to say that in this day and age it's essential, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think there's just at the club itself, there's people doing multiple jobs. I think this season's a bit better. Steve Brown's obviously left as chairman, which is great. Obviously, Steve Brown and Jeff Brown have been brilliant for the club. No one's going to deny that. But I think Steve Brown's got to take a little bit of responsibility of the mess we're in at the moment. And I just think Mac has got a really poison chalice at the moment. It's a horrible job he's got. A really horrible job. And fans are fickle, and fans will turn quickly. And I think fans understand that we're in for a dogfight this season. Obviously, a really poor League Cup campaign, 2 defeats from 2 in the league, most likely to be 3. So I think we're actually not even looking at this game, to be honest with Scott. We're all looking towards a Dundee game next week. That Dundee game next week, a week on Saturday, is absolutely massive.
Huge.
It's huge. It's a 6-pointer already, and we're only in September.
Aye. Okay, mate. Right, well, I'll end the St Johnstone chat here. Yeah, you break my heart, mate. You break my heart.
I'm going to call the Samaritans after this call anyway. We're going to give the Samaritans a call.
At least your dinner's cooking, mate. At least your dinner. Right,
exactly.
happier times. But just before we go, right, let's talk about gambling, mate, right? And let's do a wee bit of self-promotion by yourself here. Let the world know. So you're a keen gambler, you're online gambling. You want to tell people about that?
Oh yeah, I've been doing kind of tips on social media now for about well over 10 years. Initially with the Mr. Fix-It site. So for those of you who remember the Daily Record, Paul Jane sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Paul was doing stuff on his site, just putting up tips. Then eventually started doing a podcast. So we've done a Scottish podcast. We do a weekly Norwegian podcast, and we get some decent people coming on the podcast to talk about it. Got Jim Delahunt coming on this week. Jim Delahunt comes on quite a lot. We've got Div McDonald from Pie and Bovril that comes on as well. And we've also got Paul Petrie from McBookie that come on. So the podcast is doing really well into our 5th season. And I launched essentially a VIP service 3 seasons ago. So we're now into our 4th season and having a very good start to the season in Scotland. I tend to focus on Scottish football, some English football and Norwegian football. So it's quite niche stuff. And we've had a really good 3 seasons. We've been in profit each season and we've been off to a flyer this season as well. So results in Scotland have been good. Backing St Johnstone to get beat has been good. That's always helped. So every cloud. But no, I'm on Twitter speaking about Scottish football. Sometimes, Scott, you have to use the heart, the head, not the
heart. Right, okay, so where can people follow you? Where can people listen to your podcast? And anything else you want to
Everything's on Twitter. Everything I do is on Twitter. Obviously, the channel itself is done through Telegram. Details on how to sign up to that are all on my Twitter handle, which is Browning84Greg. And like you, Scott, I tend to comment and narrate a lot about Scottish football on a daily basis. It's a bit of a good laugh as well. So yeah, I do enjoy
you like
that.
Getting into Partick Thistle, poor Partick Thistle.
Well, it's more I feel sorry for Partick Thistle now, to be honest. Partick Thistle and Dundee are my mainstay, but no one's safe. I'll have a dig at anyone if it's right. And obviously as well, I can take it on the chin too.
Good man, good man. Well, Greg, thank you very much for that, because that was a hard work for you, pal. That was a hard shift. I really appreciate it. Spoke for a long time now. I hope you get through it. I really honestly mean that. I mean, if Ross County could go down this season, I wouldn't be unhappy. And I don't mean any offence to Kenny. Kenny's a top guy, but fuck Ross County. So I hope they get down. But good luck for the season ahead, mate. Hopefully we'll catch up at the end of the season. You'll be in a happier place.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you once again, mate.
Thanks, Scott. Take care, mate. Thanks a lot.
Speak to you soon.